Hey you guys, what's up and welcome back to Two Toe Tags and Metal Reviews, and today we're getting our first impressions of Hunter Gatherer from Avatar. So Avatar, dropping a new album, nice and fresh. I gotta say, I'm not the biggest Avatar fan. I like some of their stuff. Feathers and Flesh was okay, Black Waltz was okay. We did cover Avatar Country on this channel. When we reviewed it, we didn't really like it that much. It grew on TV Fish. I still don't think it's the greatest album, but I will say that the two singles from this album that I've heard so far are fucking awesome, and it's got me mad hype for this album.
They were totally solid, and we reacted to the videos for both of those songs, so go check it out if you want to see our reactions. But yeah, you know, I generally enjoy this band too. Can't say I'm a huge fan either. Like, you know, the two albums you mentioned, the Black Waltz and Feathers and Flesh, I enjoy those as well. Avatar Country, at the time when we reviewed it, we weren't fans, but like a while after that album released, I kind of put it on one day and thought, you know what, maybe this album's not bad. But I am pretty hyped for this album. I mean, like I said, the two singles we listened to, I know there was a third one, but we didn't check it out.
Yeah. But
what we've heard is really good already.
Yeah, and if it's any testament to what the rest of the album is going to sound like, I think this is going to impress me a lot. And I'm hoping it does, and we're going to go listen to it for the first time in its entirety, so we'll be back in just a second to give you guys our first impressions. Okay, we're back. We just listened to Hunter Gatherer for the first time in its entirety. And I'll say that I had some mixed feelings. A lot of it I really, really liked, but there was some stuff on this album that I was just pretty bored of, and some stuff that rubbed me the wrong way. I'm not exactly sure where to start because there's a few different odd and end things that I really didn't like. You know what, I'll start with what comes to my head first.
Okay.
Several songs had really long fade outs. We're talking like 30 plus second fade outs in some songs. Unacceptable to me. That is just a waste of time, waste of space. One or two songs maybe, but there's probably 4 or 5, maybe more songs on here that had long drawn out fade outs. That doesn't fly with me. I don't like that.
Yeah. You were saying when the album was over that, you know, the last track, Wormhole, which does have that, is really the most acceptable one because it's the ending of the album.
Exactly.
And I can understand that.
Exactly. On top of that, there was a few songs. This isn't exactly a negative for me, but there's a few songs that had this weird EDM kind of intro, and I wasn't expecting it. Like track number 2, Colossus had it. Track number 4, God of Sick Dreams had it. God, there's gotta be another one. I'm pretty sure I wrote a note somewhere. I can't find it. It's a page full of writing. Anyways, it threw me off a bit. It wasn't really something that's a bad thing, but I was just kind of like, what the heck is this? Like, why are they going this route and then all of a sudden transitioning into like metal or whatever? It's okay, it is what it is.
I mean, they're known for being pretty experimental with what they do.
Very
so
experimental.
It's not that surprising that they would do that.
Yeah, and speaking of experimental, that's probably another thing that kind of, on a first impression, I have to emphasize that, on a first impression, the experimentation is something that throws me off a bit. So you'll have songs like Child, track number 6. It's got this talky story kind of verse with a harsh scream chorus. The song's very meh overall, but songs like this are kind of all over the place. You have instead of going one direction with the song, it goes 5 different directions and it keeps switching back and forth between those directions. I know a lot of bands do stuff like that, but for some reason, with this band, it's very disjunct and it's hard to really get in a flow. But that's the first impression. Once I become familiar with the songs, stuff like this is a lot more easier to absorb and digest. So that's a kind of a partial criticism.
Would you say that overall, like, your first impression of this was better or worse than your first impression of Avatar Country?
Better. Definitely better, because there are songs on this album that fucking bang like a bitch. Silence in the Age of Apes is amazing. Colossus is amazing. A Secret Door, which is track number 3, is amazing. When All But Forces Failed, which is track number 9, is amazing. The last song, Wormhole, is pretty damn good. All those songs are like really, really good. The rest of them are either too weird for me to like on a first impression, or they're just kind of meh. They just kind of go with the flow and do their own thing.
So it's kind of like a weird sandwich. Like, you got your top and you got your bottom, you know, beginning and end like good bread, but the middle just kind of tastes a little weird for
That's a good way to put it. You know what? I've been talking for a while, so I want to pass the floor to you, but I want to pass it to you on the song "Gun," which is track number 8.
Okay.
Because this is a ballad. So go ahead.
Well, Gun. This song, I like Johannes's voice in this song with how raw he sounds. It's not like the most perfectly clearest, best vocal performance you'll ever hear, but, and they could have fixed that in post, but it kind of works that way. It helps deliver the emotion that's in this song.
It's genuine. It's pitchy. If you're somebody that's bothered by pitchiness, it might bother you. It might hurt your ears a bit. I mean, I'm not the one who's, I'm not totally bothered by pitchiness, but I'm listening to it with like a cringy face, like, ugh.
It didn't bother me that much,
Some
to
of those
be honest.
notes, he's just missing them. He's just missing them a little bit flat, a little bit sharp.
I've heard far worse cases of that.
Yeah, but you know what? You made a good point that the emotion in the song kind of makes it forgivable.
Now that being said, I'm listening to this song and I'm trying to think of it in the context of the album. You have songs like Silence in the Age of Apes. You have songs like Colossus. You have songs like Child. You have, you know, all these songs that have really whatever crazy wild stuff. And then you have this really long ballad, like almost 5 minutes. And it just kind of feels like it doesn't fit very well. I'm trying to think to myself, like, if I'm listening to this and then this song comes on, how interested am I going to be in hearing it? And I also kind of feel like it's a little bit of a generic ballad in a sense. The emotional aspect of it is probably the best part about it, but other than that, it's like, you know, the sad thing about whatever, you give a kid a gun, no, and it's just piano, and I don't know, it just
Piano and vocals, yeah.
feels a little bit generic to me.
Yeah, I think it might have been better suited if it was placed in a different spot on the album. Track number 8 out of 10 tracks to have the ballad there.
Maybe 6 or 7 would have been best. I'm thinking 6.
I thought maybe that was the last song. It would have been a cool closer, just
Maybe,
to finish it
you know
off
what?
with a soft.
I can see that.
Yeah.
I think that would work a lot better actually, because you get all the stuff out of the way and then you relax with this last one.
Exactly.
Anyway, overall, for my first impression, I thought this was pretty good, all things considered. Now, a few of the songs you mentioned already, Silence in the Age of Apes, Colossus, Wormhole, When All But Forces Failed, all of them are really cool songs. My favorite one and my highest rated one was the second last track, When All But Forces Failed. I think that song, one thing that's cool about that song is that the song right before that is Gun. So it's like you have this super soft ballad and then they just crank it right back to 100 immediately, no waiting, no nothing. It's like, okay, you sat through, you know, 5 minutes of something soft and now we're throwing you back to the fucking sharks.
Yeah.
So it's crazy all the way through, cool riffs. There's a drum solo in it which sounds awesome. It was a great solo.
I called it a drum break in my notes. I wouldn't really call it a solo. It didn't really seem long enough to be a solo for me.
It is a short solo section.
It's more than a fill, but for me it was less than a solo, so I called it a drum break.
Either way, one of the biggest things that kind of pushes this song a little bit more over others is that there's no 30 seconds of outro or fade out. It's pretty short actually. It's less than 3 minutes long, but there's no bullshit to it like that. It's just straightforward. We're in, we're out, GG's, you know? Like, it's a pretty, like, it kind of fixed the issue. Because a lot of the other songs, even though, you know, Silence in the Age of Apes, awesome song, Colossus, amazing song, these kinds of songs have a bit much of an outro to it. And at first, it wasn't bugging me that much. You know, first few songs that happened, I'm like, nah, it's whatever, no big deal. But by the time it happened in Child, I'm just like, okay, this is a bit much, you know? Like, do they have to keep doing that? There's a minute left in the song. The song's over. Like, come on.
When All But Forces Failed was also one of my top songs. Some other cool things about that song. The riff's really cool. The intro is really hype. It's got this super thrashy kind of feel to it, almost like something like Havoc would do. And then through the verses, there's this old school black metal style blast beat going through the verses and stuff. Really cool guitaring, that drum solo break, whatever. Overall, really solid song. And yeah, I was glad too that it didn't end in a huge fade out. It just kind of had a beginning and end, normal, cut to the chase.
Now, you mentioned A Secret Door being like a great track earlier, and I didn't really love it. I thought it was good. I felt like some aspects of it kind of sounded like it would fit on Avatar Country, to be honest. But, well, I also mentioned that I think it would actually be a decent album closer, but I think part of why I said that is because of the long outro.
Yeah. Well, I'm just looking at my notes here for that song because I don't really remember everything off the top of my head, but it has the whistling in it, which is actually a Corey Taylor feature. He's doing the whistling on that song. But on my notes, I got Toxicity vibes, which Toxicity is a classic song. A lot of people love Toxicity. But it was one of those songs that was very disjunct, but for me, this one specifically gelled very well because the verses are very like nice and calm, almost like something you hear like Sublime play, but then the choruses are just chaotic craziness. There's tremolo picking, there's just all kinds of stuff going on. It's all over the place, but like I said, it gels very well. It's disjunct, but it's just concocted perfectly.
Yeah, that one might have to take a little bit to really grow on me. I mean, I've only heard it one time ever, so.
I thought the whistling parts was a nice touch to it. You don't hear it anywhere else on the album. It's not something you hear a lot in music, let alone metal. You know, just guys whistling. So I thought that was unique, and I thought that it added a decent amount of flavor to the song, and it stood out to me as a highlight.
Yeah, I mean, that was a really neat part. And I really think with this band, like, it's fitting to have something as unique as that and as interesting as that, because that's what these guys do. Every album has a different flavor to it and has something interesting about it.
Yeah. Well, anyways, guys, we're going to listen to this album all week long to gather our opinions for our review next week. And as it sits right now for me, it's kind of a 50-50. So I liked a lot of it, and some of it I'm kind of meh. Hopefully it'll grow on me. Hopefully it'll grow on both of us. That's it for this video, guys, so leave a comment down below and let us know what you guys think of Hunter Gatherer. And leave a like if you like this video, subscribe if you guys enjoy the channel. I'm Wild Self.
I'm TV Fish.
We'll see you guys in the next video. Keep those heads banging.